Hey Travis kiddos, let's do some word work. So, this week we are working on the long I sound, which can be made with a lot of letters and combinations of letters. But I want to focus on one specifically. I want to focus on the Y, making the long I sound at the end of a word. Can you think of some words that end with Y, making the long I sound? Maybe like sky, or try, or fry, right? Those are some words that end with Y. Now, these words are a little bit special when we are writing them and using them in their different forms. So, when one of those Y ending long I words is a verb and you're trying to use it in a different way, like a different tense, you need to change that Y. So, I'm going to show you. So, here are some examples of long I, Y at the end of the word words. Cry, fly, and spy. So when we have that word like cry, that is the verb all on its own, the root word. If I wanted to say the baby cries, I don't just add an S. Usually I would just add an S to the end of the word, but that's not how we write it. We need to change that Y to an IE. We change it to another I, long I sound, IE, so that it is cries. So when we are adding an ending onto the Y at the end of the word, we drop the Y and add IE, or replace, put into its place the IE instead of the Y. I say the baby cries. What if I want to say the baby cried? Same rule. So I don't keep the Y, I replace it with IE. So cried. The baby cries, the baby cried. Now, crying is a little bit trickier because with crying, we are going to leave the Y in there. So that one's trickier because if I don't, this looks a little bit funny. If I replaced it with IE, that's a lot of vowels in a row and it looks a little bit goofy. Crying. So we actually just leave the Y there for crying. When we add ing, we're just leaving the Y there. So cries, change the Y to IE. Cried, change the Y to IE. Crying, leave the Y in there. Okay? How about with fly? Now, fly is a tricky one, right? Fly to flies works. We replace that Y with IE, flies. Now, do we say flied as the past tense? I flied to Washington, D.C. Is that what I say? No. We say flew, one of our sight words. So here's one that's totally different. But when we do flying, we keep that Y in there. So fly, then just add ing. Flying. Let's try with spy. So spy, she spies on her brother, spies. So we drop that Y or replace it with IE, spies. They spied on the other team, spied. So we drop the Y or replace it with IE, and then we can put the D in. And spying, we leave that Y there. So a little bit tricky here, but remember with ing, you leave the Y. If you are adding an S or an ED, you are replacing the Y, okay? Unless you have a tricky word like fly, and then it has an irregular past tense, flew. English is weird. We roll with it. We try to just learn it and use it properly. Keep working on that, and we will be working on it in class. And happy learning.